Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Steve sent me a note. So Steve, this story's got a lot of stuff in it that you're going to find interesting. And Chris Rosales of The Drive wrote this, and it was picked up by a whole bunch of other news organizations, including Yahoo Finance. Robot tow rigs are coming to take your illegally parked car. Yes, just what we need. The intersection of robots and car towing and he says every day the reality of a dystopian future becomes more real. Recently, it was Ford, as you'll recall, applied for a patent on a method for cars to repossess themselves if owners miss payments, or it's the fact that you can't really modify your car in California without breaking some kind of law. But in the UK, they've gone a step further by using robot towing dollies to grab cars out of tight spaces. So, and I remember when I was driving a tow truck, once in a while I'd get a call in a really weird place. And for instance, parking decks. I seem to recall that one of our tow trucks would fit into a parking deck, the other one would not. And I mean, literally just the boom was too tall. So also, if you are in a parking deck and the spaces are close together like this, the tow truck has got to get up behind it, and just getting into that position if there's traffic on the parking deck, it's a nightmare. So here's the story. In a concerning video posted to Instagram, an unmanned towing dolly is seen plucking a Volvo from a parking spot reserved for disabled people. So if the car is illegally parked, it's hard to get a tow truck in there. They can apparently send in the robot tow truck. Beyond the fact that the owner of the Volvo is likely in the wrong for parking in that spot without a placard authorizing it, the fact that there is a tank-tracked towing robot lifting all four tires off the ground and simply removing this heavy SUV from a parking spot is the stuff of nightmares. And so in one of the articles I saw, they showed a picture of what this thing looked like. And it looked like something off of Robot Wars because it's really low, it's got tracks on it, and it comes in and it actually sticks underneath the car and picks the car up. And if you know what I'm talking about, the Robot Wars, it's robot fighting time, my friends. Some of the robots, their weapon of choice is simply to try to flip over their opponent, or at least that's part of what they do. So the robot bears the text RNW. Now, some research shows that the logo belongs to a towing company called Recovery Northwest. They specialize in towing everything from heavy equipment that's been left stranded to recovering classic parking violators. On Recovery Northwest's website, the company does not mention the robot much, but it does pop up in a photo gallery. For the discerning towing enthusiast, it might be a fearsome sight. It looks designed for one purpose: towing in extremely space-restricted areas. And I remember, on occasion, towing illegally parked cars. And occasionally you'd get people who park their cars in a way that they anticipated there might be a problem. So for instance, somebody would pull into a parking space, nose first, and then crank their wheel all the way to one side and then lock the steering column. So if there was something over here and you went to pull the car, it would go that way, and a tow truck driver doesn't want to damage your car too much when he's towing it. So that might be a deterrence to having the car towed. So this is designed to just go in and pull them out. So that's a sound effect of a robot tow truck. An underground parking lot or a narrow street might be such a space-restricted area. Now, the towing robot is made by a French company, and the robot is called the East-Tract. It has tank tracks to make extremely tight maneuvers and is powered by a 35 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine. It was first made in 2012 and is said to be able to tow or carry 5,500 pounds. It is radio controlled. So this has been around a while, but this is the first we've seen it pop up in the news or stories. The fact that it can effectively be the special forces of towing by going in and quickly extracting a car from a normally impossible place and delivering that car to a nearby tow truck is frightening. And Chris Rosales ends by saying, live in fear, UK residents. Keep in mind, however, the thing is not built in the UK, it's built in France. And so these things could be coming everywhere. It's just a question of who's got the need to buy one. And how long before somebody says, well, you know something, we've got this artificial intelligence. It appears to be working pretty well. It can construct grammatically correct sentences. What more do you want? So why don't we just, load the artificial intelligence into this thing and tell it what to look for, and just tell it to go start snagging cars that are breaking the law, illegally parked cars and so on. And that way we could put a fleet of these on the road in, like, say, New York City or San Francisco, someplace where there are a lot of illegally parked cars, and just put this thing and let it loose. See what it does. It'll pay for itself in like 3 nights. Now, you'll recall, I recently did the story about how, at least in California, the Court of Appeals there recently ruled that you can no longer tow and impound a car simply because of unpaid parking tickets. That can't be the only basis for which you tow the car. So the need for this device may have just gotten a little less in California. But as Steve pointed out, he said, Steve, this is the intersection of a bunch of things you like to talk about. If only we could get one of these devices, put the artificial intelligence into it, and tell it to go into HOAs using a metal detector, locate illegally parked cars, and then seize them under civil asset forfeiture. I think at that point we'd have a full bingo. I'm pretty sure. So this is interesting. I've never seen or heard one of these things before, and I'm fascinated by machinery. When somebody invents a machine that does something, and go, hey, check this out. We got this device that can go into a parking deck, for instance, and just simply go up to a car, pick it up, back it out, and then bring the car down to us. We can put. That's cool. It's a pretty cool thing. The fear, of course, is what is the next step. Because if it's remote controlled, well, we've got wars being fought by remote control right now, right? You can have somebody sitting in Arizona watching through the eyes of a drone on the other side of the world, deciding what to shoot at. So it could very well be that you're going to have a headquarters someplace with a bunch of guys and gals operating these things with joysticks, driving them around at night, looking for vehicles to pick up. And then at that point, it's just a small step to say we can save all the money of the operators by just putting artificial intelligence into this thing. And then how long is it before the robot towing rigs turn against us? It's just the next step. We all know it's coming. It's one of these things. It is so inevitable that we can talk about it. We can see it coming, and it's still going to happen. So, again, it's RNW, which is the towing company. And then, of course, the thing is made in France, and it is Multitrack, the company, and the robot's called the East-Tract. So if you want one of these things, I guess look it up, buy one. And like I said, it's just a matter of time before this thing's driving off with my car. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Steve, thanks for sending it. Chris Rosales wrote that for the drive. Robot tow rigs are coming to take your illegally parked car or repossess your car. That's obviously one of the next steps. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. A professor is one who talks in someone else's sleep.